Get free tech advice for your business from O2 Gurus. Search O2 Business for more. Hey guys, welcome to BTech, it's Basil here, and this is the Lenovo Vibe Shot MWC 2015. The Lenovo Vibe Shot is one of the most exciting phones because it's one of the only Android phones in the world that supports full manual control. And not just that, it packs a 16 megapixel camera, which has a native 16:9 aspect ratio, which has 3 LED flashes. Yes, this is a very, very neat device, and even though it may well not be coming to the UK, in fact it probably won't, it is still absolutely worth covering. Any pro photographers, we're going to dive into the modes in a short while, and we're going to compare it against the Nokia Lumia 930. This is the flagship Windows Phone device, a 20 megapixel camera, also loaded up with optical image stabilization. It really is the king of cameras, but unfortunately it's been left behind in the specs front. Still a very, very cool smartphone, and here's why. It packs a 5-inch display with full HD resolution. It's an AMOLED display, and the 5-inch screen of the Vibe Shot is also full HD. Both have 441 pixel per inch pixel densities. As far as the Nokia goes, you've got that front-facing camera, not crazy high resolution, and 3 capacitive buttons below. You have a crazy high resolution front-facing camera. It's 8 megapixels and 3 capacitive buttons below. So the styling isn't too dissimilar. This extends to the metal frame as well. Both have metal frames, although the Lenovo Vibes is significantly slimmer than that of the Nokia Lumia 930. On the right-hand side, you can see a volume rocker. You've got a power button and a toggle, as well as a 2-stage camera button. The toggle flicks between manual and smart camera shooting modes. Down at the base, speakers and a micro USB connector. Left-hand side, you've got trays, a SIM tray and a micro SD card tray. Up at the top is a 3.5mm headphone jack, and on the flip side, that 16 megapixel camera and this very cool kind of styling. It's kind of like a rangefinder. It's a Gorilla Glass back, but it has brushed metal underneath, or what looks like brushed metal, to give it a really nice finish. 3 flashes across different color sets to improve white balance, infrared autofocus, and of course that camera with image stabilization. Think it's a Sony sensor, but 16:9 default aspect ratio, awesome. As for the Lumia, right-hand side, also have a physical camera button. You've got a power button and volume rocker as well. Down at the base, micro USB. Left-hand side, no buttons, but up at the top, 3.5mm jack and a SIM card slot. On the reverse, you've got this bright orange color. It's available in a range of colors, green, orange, white, black, but we've got the orange one, and it has a 20 megapixel camera with a dual flash as opposed to a tri-flash. You've also got a loudspeaker around the bottom of the back. Ultimately, really, really nicely designed device, bit too thick. Unfortunately, it just didn't actually last in terms of durability compared to previous Nokia's. The back cover kind of came off hours after extended use, but still, it feels great in the hand, especially a new device that hasn't kind of had the wear and tear that our device has. What you can also expect are those 5-inch displays, like we said, IPS versus AMOLED, so very accurate white balance versus bright punchy colors and deep dark blacks, but maybe less accurate white balance, especially off angle. As for what's inside, it's Windows Phone 8.1. This will be upgradable to Windows Phone 10. Left-hand side is a start menu, right-hand side applications. You've also got a pull-down notifications tray, and here you've got some quick toggles as well. You can pin tiles to your start menu or unpin them, and you can resize tiles at a whim. If we take a look at the Vibe, you can see I just activated the gesture. Swipe down and you can search your phone with this gesture control. You can also pull down from the top to see a notification tray, and it is 2-tiered because this is Lollipop. Pull out and you can see the applications are spread across the home screen. You do not have an applications tray, so this is more like an iPhone, more like a Huawei device, for example. Now let's talk about what you really want to see, that camera. So we can actually power up both camera user interfaces. And by default, on the Lenovo Vibe Shot, you get this automatic mode, and it is smart automatic mode. So if you point it at something, it will try and figure out what you're pointing it at. Point it at food, it'll do food. Point it at faces, it'll saturate the face better and expose the face correctly. As for the Nokia, it doesn't do anything on screen, but it still takes a very, very decent picture. You saw our focus light there, and we can switch the flash off to auto, and you can take a picture pretty nice and quickly. That image stabilization will most definitely have come into play there with my shaky hand. Where things get interesting though are with the manual controls. Flick the toggle and you have some features up here: white balance, focus, shutter speed and ISO, as well as exposure. All these can be accessed by pulling a ring system here. You know what else can do that? The Lenovo Vibe Shot. Similar kind of ring system, so we will say they did kind of rip that from Nokia, but seeing as it's the best system for mobile manual controls we've seen. hats off to Lenovo in a way. You can control really similar stuff. So exposure control, ISO, focus, shutter speed, and white balance. If we, for example, lock focus to the closest focal range on the Vibe, we can pull in and take a picture of our Nokia Lumia 930 right up close so we can see. Now my hand was shaking pretty crazily there, but hopefully it still got a decent shot. Absolutely did. Really nice sharpness, and you can see where the focal position lies there. Now let's try that with the 930. Pull out and camera manual, flick down, and let's lock focus on the closest focal distance. And hopefully that's also captured a great shot. Yep, it has right there. And again, you can see pulling into the closest focal distance will immediately give you a nice blurry background. 20 megapixels oversamples the image and makes them smaller. So they're actually around 5 megapixels, but it grabs more accurate colors because it conglomerates pictures. Whereas you've got a much more traditional 16 megapixel system on the Vibe Shot. As for how they actually perform, naturally, it'll have to come down to real world tests. So hopefully we'll get the Vibe Shot in to compare the two. Moving away from the camera zone, talking about the specs inside, and you've got a Qualcomm Snapdragon 615 octa-core processor, 64-bit, 1.7 gigahertz, 3 gig of RAM. Inside the Nokia Lumia 930, a Qualcomm Snapdragon 801 processor with 2 gig of RAM. Both are available with 32 gig storage. However, the Lenovo Vibe is expandable by micro SD card. In addition to that, 2,400 milliamp battery versus a 2,900 milliamp battery. Ultimately, therefore, we really want a Lenovo Vibe Shot. It looks like a great phone, stacks up really well against the Nokia Lumia 930, although it probably won't be coming to the UK, again, like we said. Fingers crossed we can still get one in for review, and hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you click that like button, and if you like BTech in general, click subscribe. Also, check out our new website. That is how you can win some very cool prizes. Thanks for watching BTech.